The Lord will withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly. Psalm 84:11. God said beauty for ashes, and he meant it. He took my pain and turned it into power. Now, I do more than makeup. I speak life. I pray while I blend. I minister while I contour. This is kingdom work in every detail. This is ministry through makeup. Hello and welcome to Ministry Through Makeup. Here, I blend my passion for beauty with my walk with God, sharing tutorials, testimonies, and moments of transformation inside and out. Whether you're here for a glam look or a word of encouragement, there's a seat at this table for you. Let's grow in grace and glow together. In today's video, I want to talk about how God is not withholding your blessing. He's waiting for you to get into position to receive them. Let's get into it. I moved to Houston, Texas 2 months ago, but while I was still in Philly, I was looking for a 1-bedroom apartment here in Houston. I was approved for 6 different apartments, but when I looked up the addresses, the area did not look too appealing. I started going on morning walks and I fell in love with them, and that's not something I wanted to give up by moving to Texas. So it was important that whichever apartment I decided to pick was in a nice area. Keep in mind, I have never been to Texas. Yes, that's right. I was moving to a place I had never visited. But when God tells me to move, I move. I went into more details on how God spoke to me about moving to Texas in this video. Go check that out if you haven't done so already. Now back to the story. So I decided it would make more sense to get to Texas and explore the areas of the apartments I was approved for before committing to one of them. My spirit was leading me to get a private room, considering it was only temporary. For a moment, I was a bit hesitant because I was going from having my own place in Philly to moving to Texas and living in a private room. I felt like I was downgrading, but I am a firm believer that if God calls you to something, He will guide you through it. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6. So I was okay with the downgrade because I knew my Father had me. I started my search for a private room and I discovered PadSplit, which is a company that offers nice private rooms in houses with other people all over the world. I booked a room and I headed off to Texas. I arrived here in Houston on June 1st and I got settled in. The house that my private room was in had 13 other people and I was the 14th person. Now, I'm the kind of person that can spot filth from a mile away, so I immediately noticed the kitchen floor was disgusting. Remind you, the house itself was beautiful, but it was the people living in the house that didn't keep it clean. Considering I had just touched down after traveling for 32 hours, I planned to clean the floor the next day. So the next day comes, and I got up and swept and mopped the floor. I went to throw the water outside in the yard, and 2 of the housemates were sitting out there. Let's name them Brandon and Thomas. So they tell me that the house hasn't had a game night in a while, and they wanted to have one that night, and I was more than welcome to join. I was like, okay, and later that evening we played Uno. 3 other housemates joined us and we had a great evening. One housemate, let's name her Monica, she had a problem with all the noise we were making. Everyone had informed me that she was the one person in the house that didn't get along with anyone else, and I should keep my distance. Fast forward, game night became an every night thing with me, Brandon, and Thomas. Keep in mind, I had a routine when living in Philly that I wanted to stick to while living in Texas. But because we played game night every night, I was going to bed late and not waking up as early. While playing the games, Brandon and Thomas would drink wine. I was never much of a wine drinker in Philly. I would smoke. But as you know, I quit. That was a habit I was determined to leave in Philly. So, they would offer me wine, and at first I kept saying no. But we started playing Uno, Monopoly, and other games almost every day, so eventually I said yes. It got to the point I was drinking wine every day. I wasn't working out, I wasn't meal prepping, I wasn't doing any of my usual healthy habits. Fast forward to July, Thomas had moved out. Now Thomas lived in room 1, which was the biggest room in the house. I wanted his room while he was still living there, but he wouldn't switch with me. So as soon as I heard he moved out, I put in a transfer from room 14 to room 1. By me moving downstairs, I started to have more encounters with Monica. I could sense she had a dark cloud over her. We actually had an exchange of words on more than one occasion, but she would speak to me the very next day. I realized entertaining her was pointless because I could sense something was not right about her. A few days later, someone else moves in. Let's call her Brittany. As we continued to play game night, I started getting convicted and I had to tell myself, this is not what I moved out here for. I did not put down marijuana in Philly to pick up a bottle of wine in Texas. So, I started to get back into my routine. I first started walking again, but the area I lived in had a lot of dogs roaming around, which made my walks less peaceful. So I started doing at-home workouts. I was getting back into my groove. It wasn't long before I noticed Brandon wouldn't talk or hang with me as much because he would be with Brittany, but I was okay with that. It was like God sent her to take his attention off of me. One day, me and Monica gets into it again, but this time it was intense. I got so upset I was ready to swing on this girl. Instead of taking matters into my own hands, I prayed about it. I told God what I was feeling and I just gave it to him. 2 days later, she moved out. As I continued to get back into my routine, I completely stopped hanging out with Brandon. So much so, everyone in the house assumed something happened between us because I just completely fell back. So Brandon started having game nights with Brittany. Keep in mind, we always played games in the living room, right outside of room 1. Because I was now living in room 1 and not out there playing with them, I realized how thin the walls were and I could hear everything. So more than once, I had to ask them to keep it down because they were right outside my door. I was going to bed early because I was waking up early, and I started getting frustrated because as I was trying to sleep, they were outside my door being loud. So once again, I prayed about the situation. I let God know exactly how I was feeling. That same week, Brittany purchased a hookah lounge, and because she was there so much, they were no longer having game nights outside my door. At this point, I'm back in routine. I did a 3-day Esther fast, so I was back in alignment with God. I was feeling so good. Now remember, I told you guys I can spot filth from a mile away. I used to get upset when I saw dishes piled up in the sink, trash on the floor, garbage cans overflowing. It literally would piss me off. Like, how hard is it to clean up after yourself? But after my fast, I was calmer. When I would see the mess, I didn't get upset anymore. I would laugh and continue on with my day. I was in such a good space. I had to realize I was allowing other people's actions to get me out of character, and I was done doing that. It felt so good being back in alignment. I was distracted for an entire month and even spent my security deposit in the process. So I told myself I would continue my routine until God moved me out of there. I didn't know when and I didn't know how, but I believed it was going to happen. One day, my spirit leads me to check the listing on PadSplit, and I see a 1-bedroom apartment listing. I thought my eyes were deceiving me because PadSplit only lists private rooms, not apartments. I was like, huh? Sure enough, it was a 1-bedroom apartment with the weekly payment being cheaper than what I was currently paying. I started praising God and submitted that transfer. My transfer was approved on Wednesday and I moved in that Saturday. Many times, God won't remove us from a situation. Instead, He steps in it with us. Isaiah 43:2. I had to learn, even if I'm not in control of the environment, I am in control of how I respond to it. As soon as I learned that lesson and started applying it, God blessed me. And not only did He give me my own space, He gave me a space that was cheaper and in a great location. I now go on my morning walks, not having to constantly look out for dogs. I want to encourage you, wherever God currently has you, instead of asking why, start asking Him, what is it you want me to learn in this season? God is very intentional. Everything He does is for a reason. So if He has you there, it is for a reason. And the longer it takes you to learn what that reason is, the longer you will stay there. And that concludes today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Whether it was the makeup look or the testimony, I hope you took something from this video. My goal is to encourage others and to shed light on how good God is. And if He changed my life, He can change yours too. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and stay on the lookout for the next video. Or, better yet, hit that bell button to be notified every time that I post. Love you all. Mwah.